Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Scripts Jedi. In today's episode, we're going to cover what to say to the changing environment with interest rates. Do you have sellers that are on the fence? Buyers that are on the fence? We'll play the question game today and unpack some of those curious statements you can make to see what those opportunities are. We'll also uncover a dialogue about listing a home and making that listing compete like a home builder. Finally, we'll talk about working with people who are currently tenants who may be able to move their timeline forward because their lease has an exit strategy that sellers can cover for us. So let's check it out and see what's going on in today's episode. Ronnie DiCarlo, you have some comments about this?
So yesterday I got an email, and I've been getting these emails just about every other day. Khovnanian Builder, which is nationwide, is offering a 6% commission co-broke. We haven't seen that since pre-pandemic. I have another builder offering 7%. What does that tell us, guys? It tells us that, number one, inventory is backing up for them. So don't tell me there's a shortage of inventory. Number two, besides them giving us the co-broke, guess what? They're giving away the house to your buyers. I heard a buyer yesterday got $10,000 towards closing costs plus. Now we know it's not $10,000, but you get what I'm saying. They're getting everything they want and then some. And with this T-bill that Chris just showed us, there's another indication that it's going to get even better for a buyer. Let's put it that way.
Dialogue with your lenders to find out who's putting deals together that look favorable like this, that are able, because they're in the game, they're able to see how people can still perform in a world where they have uncertainty. They all think that interest rates have gone up to a level where they can't approve or can't buy. If you could get 100% financing, would you buy today? And they'll say, how do I get 100% financing? Well, you just got to live out in the country. Would you get 100% financing? Would that be exciting for you? Fulshire's nice, isn't it, Gloria? I live out in Fulshire. Frank in South Charlotte.
I was talking with our in-house lender, who's really good, and mortgage rates are fluctuating a little bit, but in some days they're going down twice in the same day. So they're looking to see that trend continue. And our job is to get the information out to people that, hey, mortgage rates are coming down. Lock in, and when they close, if they're lower, they're still going to give a lower rate.
The way people are deciding is they're looking way back in the rearview mirror and saying, I would sell at that price. Well, that was June. You can't sell at that price today. And then in September and October, they may say, I will want to buy because interest rates are so high. Well, what if interest rates were 5.25? Would you buy then? And who do you talk to as a dialogue person to get good allies on your side like that? Elaine?
Always be cognizant of the fact that sometimes some co-owners might be having marital problems and things like that, and that did happen to me. So one time I did call a person, and the lady snapped at me and said, "Who are you?" I realized after I hung up with her, I explained that I was a real estate agent. I was just reaching out to my database and keeping connection. After the fact, I found out they were getting a divorce. So just always be cognizant of the fact that people are having lives behind the scenes when we're calling.
Sometimes it's a swing and a miss too, isn't it? But you got to be in the game, taking cuts at stuff, see what happens. Hey, Alicia.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to share this morning. I went out on a limb. I don't usually do expires, but you guys have kind of inspired me to do with them. And so yesterday I called 16 expireds. My goal was 20, but there were a couple that were a little hard to track down, so I got stuck on a couple of them. Anyway, I got lots of hangups, lots of no thank yous. But one in particular did answer, and we had a lovely conversation. I actually talked to 4 of them. We had a lovely conversation on this one. And, I had the script right in front of me about what you guys had told me to say yesterday. And it was just, the goal of getting the appointment. And, hi, is the house still for sale? Is it available? Right. And she was like, are you a realtor? And I was like, yeah, I'm a local realtor in the area. And I have, buyers that look in this area. And I just want to know, dot, dot, dot. And she said, you know what? She said, we're not selling it. We're going to wait. And I did the waiting, script or whatever. And she said, but I want you to stay in touch with me because I'll tell you why. You were honest with me. Most realtors who call me don't tell me they are.
It's Ian.
So I said, well, that's real important to me. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that.
Alicia,
Thank you.
that's the inspiration, right?
Yeah.
You've got to get off go do something intentional. If you knew that every day you could have that, if 4 days a week you could have that conversation, how could you not have the business that you want? It'll take you 90 days. They'll paint the house or do whatever they were intending to do. But then they'll lock into us because they had a good hook. It felt good. It felt reasonable. Now, here's a tough work. You've got to keep in the relationship game with them. That's
Yeah,
it.
I asked for permission to do that, and she said yes. So I said,
The only reason they won't work with you is if you fail to keep up with them and get into alignment with their timeline. And maybe offer a little bit of oil, a little viscosity to keep it going faster, right? To get it moving again.
okay.
But that's it, right? If you had one of those every day, you would have an amazing listing pipeline. So that's the reason, right? If we can just do that once a month, who wouldn't like to add 10 sales to their pipeline next year by just having one of those a month? I'll take it. But you got to do it. You got to do it at the time when the season is ripe. Have you ever been picking fruit just beyond when it was ripe? Not my favorite. Ian, we'll put you in the waiting room. All right, so we're here. We're going to do a poll real quick. Question game or script? I have a script. Question game or script? Put it in the chat. Question game or script? Question game or script? Look at all these people putting the question marks. Oh, gosh, this is a battle. All the trendsetters with just the question mark. Joanna Brown, I don't even know what that means. Guys, we so appreciate your time and we'd love to hear from you. If you guys have scripts you want to work on, other things you want us to bring up as part of the show, don't hesitate to send us a message here or through any of the platforms. We love to hear from you. So let us know here at the Scripts Jedi what content's important for you, and we'll bring that part of our cadence in our calls. Don't forget, if you need virtual assistant service, Evolve Virtually has the a la carte solutions with no long-term contracts and an easy to implement system of trained professionals that are ready to help your business go to the next level. Let us know at Evolve Virtually what we can do to help you grow your business. Let's go back to the show. Oh my gosh, this is tough, y'all. This is tough. All right. So if you put question game, give me an idea. What kind of question game do you want to play?
So Chris, it was in the chat. Somebody asked, if we know that the interest rates are going down, how can we convince them right now to do it? I have an answer that I could share and we could throw that out.
Well, just share it now as people are trying to set interest
So
rate.
here's the thing, guys. You have to get with a lender that is going to give them a loan right now at today's rates and give them a 0 fee refi when the rates go down. That's the key to the puzzle. Because a refi, let's say 2 months from now, if the rates go down 2%, could cost them $5,000. But if you have a lender that's willing to lock in right now today, they buy today, and 2 months from now, they can refi without any fee. And there's lenders out there that are doing that.
So if you wanted a script, I'm going to put a script in the chat. That's for you. You can copy and paste that, take that home with you. But let's do interest rate talk. You got me kind of interested about there. I want some thinking minds, right? You've got to think about one question revolving around interest rates. It's not a full script, but if you were dialoguing with buyers or sellers, what is a question that gets the conversation moving forward? Gets them back on the market to be listed, gets them to paint the house faster to be listed, gets them to break a lease. I mean, if you could break a lease, would you? Right? Think of all the curiosity for buyer side business that you could unpack with a question. And so what we do in the question games, we'll go through a series of raised hands. You can participate too. This is your opportunity. You can grab the mic, sing your one karaoke song, and not have to finish because it's just one question. It's easy to play this game. Your voice is amazing. Your camera is irrelevant, but your participation makes this the best game in North America, real estate scripts and role play. It's the only game, I think. So we go across the top, you raise your digital hand, I'll call on you and just ask one question. One question about, I don't even know what's going on in the chat with you people. One question about interest rates. Frank Matera. Frank.
What is keeping you from getting pre-approved today when you know that when you close, if the interest rate's lower, you're going to get that lower rate?
Staying in the Queen City. Mims.
Hey, I understand you want to wait till rates drop. What do you think about everyone else waiting that long too? What's the competition going to be like?
Paul McCrary.
What does the rate have to be before you jump?
That's a D question. What's the number? What's the number? Valerie.
If you knew that interest rates were going to keep going up for the next 2 years, what would you do today?
I like that. That's future pacing, right? When you're having dialogues with people, the concept of future pacing is to predict something in the future and ask their opinion today. It's a good way to get thought-provoking conversations started. Julie Hess.
First time. Would you pass on your perfect home just because of the interest rate?
Do that again. I like that.
Would you pass on your perfect home just because of the interest rate? So the reason why I did that, my son wrote an offer at 7% and he got the perfect home and he got it for 40,000 less. And he was like, I don't really care at 7%. I can refinance later. But if he would have cared, he would have missed the perfect home, which suit their needs. And I have a granddaughter with disabilities. It's the perfect home. And they would have missed it because in their head, they would have been thinking 7%. So they go to settlement on Monday and he'll refinance some other time.
So it's one of the ones that I think wore itself out, but it is true. You don't live in the interest rate. You live in the house. If the house works for you, buy the house. Buy the house.
Chris, I know you've gotten discouraged because the interest rates have increased. If we are able to lock in today's current rate, and then if it drops by when the time we are ready to purchase, would that be something you're interested in?
If you look at how Shirley presented that, it was an alignment position and then a probing question, right? You're on the same side. You want to have them feel that you're the arm in arm person with them. That's what we want in these dialogues. And they feel better when they have approval of their position and support if they're making a different decision, that you're helping them make, with good sound advice, a different decision. Columbia, South Carolina, Karina Thomas.
Why don't we start by shopping in the monthly payment you're comfortable with and see if there's any homes that match?
That's what the car people do, isn't it? The car people, it's all about the monthly rate. Hannah in Connecticut.
I hear you. You are saying you want to wait for the interest rate to go lower. For how long you are going to wait?
Yeah. If they could they be using that as a deflector to not purchase it? There may be another reason that timing isn't the right one. They just use interest rate. But if you probed a little bit, you'll find out more than just the number of percentage points. Like there may be a financial issue or another challenge that just changes timeline. Nicole Howard.
So it's kind of the same as Hollis, but based on our original conversation, you said this was your timeline. How many houses and how much more time do you want to add to that to wait?
You get if you hear a question that you were going to say, stay here, because this is your tonality, this is your accent, this is your presentation of content. Don't let a repeat performance dissuade you from taking the opportunity today. Grab the mic and say something. If you haven't spoken on Zooms before, This is an easy way to get comfortable on camera. Just get this done. To El Paso, where it's quite early. Matt Cannon.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you something. Would it be something you would be interested in to maybe find a seller that's offering a lot of, I don't know, help with closing costs and rate buy downs that would get you a really good home right now?
Love it. Where it is cold and snowy, Dean.
Hey guys, thanks for the opportunity here. Sorry for the windiness. So everybody's talking about the fact that rates might go down. Well, what if they really didn't? And let's say they did. If I can get you a loan where you at no charge can adjust that mortgage rate down, wouldn't you want to be in a house you love now? I mean, come on, man. Sorry about that.
Come on, man. Julie S is back. Julie.
I am back, and I'm not sure how to do this, so I'll throw it out. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you ever heard of the 231 buy down lending program? And the reason for that is, there are some people out there that, like, let's just say they want 600,000. They want the whole neighborhood in Dauphin County to know their home sold for 600,000, but are they willing to buy down the loan for instead of a price reduction, let's keep it at 6 if that's real important for you to be able to tell all your neighbors it's sold at 600, and then let's take a percent and buy down, for the buyer. So I don't know how to put that in question, but there are people out there that would rather do that so they can tell everybody it's sold for 600 than reduce to 575. So if there's a way we can put that in a good question.
Julie, you're thinking of selling, right?
Yeah. I am.
So do you know what the builders are doing in this market right now?
I don't, Chris. I have no idea.
Because builders have lots of inventory they've got to sell every month to still keep up their business. They're actually taking some of their equity that they had from previous deals and investing it in incentives for buyers.
Okay.
That attracts them when their message is different than the market. Like, what's the market that you hear about the interest rates right now? What direction are they heading?
They're heading up.
And so what if your home could compete like the builders and offer a sweet incentive and attract that next buyer, still preserving the net price because your outcome is still the same, but the incentive side is where you get the buyer? Would that be a plan you want to look at?
That is a plan I'd want to look up. Absolutely. I want to be competitive. Cool.
All right, I'm going to post that. That was a good one. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks.
You'll see that on the highlight reel. That'll be posted today. Helen Ochoa.
Hey, Chris. I understand that you've heard of a lot of things going on with mortgages. What is scaring you about that?
South Charlotte again, Frank.
If this is the perfect house, can you spend the rest of your life saying I should have?
Future, that's pain, right? If you can take them to future pain, that's a moving point, right? That, the pool of regret sometimes really helps people act because the takeaway sale. Kathleen Jones, I think this is Kathleen Jones in Buffalo.
Hi, yes, sir. Good morning. So, Mr. Seller, I hear you say you're concerned about the interest rates and you perhaps would like to wait till spring. But let me ask you this. Would you prefer to sell when you have more competition or less?
I like that. Welcome, D. Scott. Where are you at, D. Scott? Is that Miami? Are you a Miami agent?
I'm in Atlanta. This is my dream background. Yes. So I would just say to a buyer, are you okay missing out on your equity growth while you're waiting on the interest rates to potentially go down?
Even if you bought in 2009, you still got your equity back by now. Tanika Allen.
If interest rates fluctuate and sometimes more than once in a day, how do you know when the best time will be if you never know if they're going to go up or down or when?
Like that. Uzi Hussein.
And I'm curious, what is the interest rate that you're paying on your rental right now?
See, you get into all that kind of pokey talk. You happy paying off somebody else's equity, making somebody else rich? How long are you going to continue to do that? That's always my favorite, but I think it's edgy. Like, you've got to have a good rapport with that buyer that they might be a little not so happy with that type of talk. Hi, Miss Bernice. There you go.
Are you aware that although you'll pay a little bit more in interest now, that at the end of the year, you'll be eligible for more refund of your state and federal taxes?
Do you know the tax benefits by buying and closing before the end of the year? It could save you thousands.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. You got buyers on the fence, guys, that can perform. There's a huge tax incentives. Get them to close in 30 days. There's still a lender that can get that deal done, guys. 30 days is still possible in most markets. Tampa, Dawn Rollins.
Have you ever tried to time the purchase of airline tickets for vacation?
My wife has some regret over that, Dawn. She saw those Tuesday sales. What is it called? Whatever Tuesday. Oh my gosh, we got to be ready for that next year.
Me too.
Holla Hannah, close us out. Hey, can I give you a strategy you might not have thought of?
Yeah.
Have you looked at your lease and seen what the buyout is? Because most leases have a clause where you could buy yourself out. And right now, if you found the perfect home and it wouldn't cost you anything to buy out of that lease, would you make a move? Because right now, if you went into the market as the competitive buyer, what do you think sellers are going to do for you in this market? I mean, just imagine if you're the one really qualified buyer that shows up at that house, imagine what kind of incentives you could generate. What are the questions you would want to ask? I trust that this has been helpful for you. Question Game Friday is how we normally unpack this day, but I'll post one more time, script in the chat. If you needed a script for today, not thinking of selling right now, but next year, that's a little script in there. May I stay in touch with you and possibly earn the opportunity to be your realtor when you are ready? Do you know of anybody else who is thinking the same way you are? Can somebody say, I have a good friend who's a realtor?
I have a good friend who's a realtor.
Awesome. I understand. I'll call you next month.
Sounds
And
good.
Alicia, that's just what you say. Oh, I have a friend who's a realtor. Of course you do. Everybody does. I'll call you next month. Because you know who's not going to call them next month?
Their friend.
Their friend is not going to call them next month. You should call them next month and to go out and slay your day and get
I'll be your
connected
new
with
friend.
That's it. I'll be your new friend. And I'll make sure that I stay in touch with you. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Scripts Jedi. My name is Chris Hurley, and I'm a licensed realtor in North Carolina and in Texas. I love to meet you, to hear your stories of success, to find out how you're implementing the scripts on this show into your business to get the most out of your real estate operation. But if you ever have questions, you want to be curious about coaching, you want to be curious about growing your business, you want me to be a guest on your podcast, reach out to me. I love to show people the benefits of being consistent and the value of knowing the words that are spoken in your business. Whatever the industry is, I'm confident that having a series of familiar conversations makes it easy to execute any relationship business. So tune in the next opportunity you can, either our weekly call or one of these podcasts when they're produced. We love to hear from you and look forward to another connection in the future.